This lesson is about plumbing. There are two elements of the plumbing. We have the supply side and we have the drain side. We know when we walk in the house, if there's not any puddles around, that the supply side isn't leaking. What we don't know anything about is the drain side. So it's very important during your home inspection to be running water at all your faucets, and certainly some of them you want to run for a long extended period of time. That's going to test the drain lines. You can only find leaks on the drain side when you're running water through it. So don't hesitate to run water as long as you can. So let's get started.
Now we're going to discuss how to perform an inspection for the water supply line that's coming inside your home. There are two forms in which a client can receive water. One, a public system, or two, a private system. This is a public system. And how do we know? Because we actually see a water meter, we have our valve, and it's coming from the exterior ground section through the basement wall. For a private system, that is true for some of the instances, and we'll be talking about that shortly. So, looking at the supply line, we're going to look at the connections. We're going to see if there's any at the joints, if there's any leaks. We're going to look at the main water valve, and we want to identify that to our client, the location of the main water valve. And if you wish, you can actually put a tag with your logo on there hanging below, which helps identify to the client where the main water line is. Now, as we come further, you see that we have a flow meter, right? Or a water meter. Depending on the county that you live in, some counties actually have the water meters and some don't. Some are mechanical and some are electric. For our purposes, all we are looking for, is there a water meter? And what is the joints? Are there any leaks? As we continue further, now we're going to be looking at the copper piping. Now, we don't get into code, but we want to have an understanding of water flow. Typically, water flows for 3/4 inch. That should be supplying all the faucets, your tubs, and things of that nature. So now we're going to follow these supply lines through the entire basement. Now, one of the difficulties that we have is, as you can see, we have insulation that's from the basement. We're not going to rip down any of this insulation to look at the supply lines. Because one, our client is not going to want that ripped down. Two, we have to be distinctive in where we're going to remove any insulation if we do. And why would we remove insulation? Only if we see a water stain. Because that's giving us an indication of saying, hey, there's a water stain. There's got to be something going on here. Water doesn't just form by itself on the insulation. Okay? So with that being said, at this point, we're going to be stopping at this location because we can't further look at the plumbing section with respect to the supply lines. And this is how you perform an inspection on a public water system. Now I'm going to show you how to perform a drain line inspection. Now, we've been operating the water in each of the bathrooms and each of the kitchens. So our supply line has been under pressure. But when it comes to our drain lines, they are not under pressure. So we need to have continuous water flow through our drain line system to ensure that if there are any leaks, we can actually see them at the time of the inspection. So how do we do this? One, you can operate your dishwasher, but if the house does not have a dishwasher, then you're going to turn on the cold water in the kitchen for the entire time while you're performing the inspection. So let's get started. Now, we're going to start from the back end and moving forward, meaning we're going to look at where the drain line is exiting the home. We can see we have a clean out here. We have the water running, so we're going to be looking at the joints. Now, one of the things we can be doing while we're looking at the joints is actually looking at the concrete floor. That's going to be a great indication for us if there are any leaks. Now, from the time when we turned on the water and the time we got to the basement is going to be about maybe 30 to 45 minutes. So a leak would definitely have formed by the time we reach the basement area. So as we move forward, we always want to make sure that there's a small slope that's going toward the exit, okay? So we pull out our torpedo level here, and we can see that we have a small slope. We got some hangers for the drain lines. And as we move forward, we're going to see that we actually have a house trap, and then this is the actual vent. The vent is going out through the side of the house. We need that vent going to the ambient condition to allow water flow to the exit, being if it's going to a septic tank or if it's going out to a sewer system. So again, this is another clean out, but also a house trap. We're looking at the connections. I'm not seeing any leaks. We got the straps here. And then we're going to continue on. And we keep just measuring to see if there's a small slope. Because if there was a great slope, the possibility of waste being left in the line is a high probability, which then would lead to a clog. We want a nice slope so it'll carry that waste all the way to the sewer or the septic system. Another way we would understand if there is a drain problem is actually when we're performing the bathroom inspections and the kitchen inspections. If we see the vanities start filling up, or the bathtub or the kitchen sink, that's an indication to us going, I think there's something going on with the drain line system. And we'll definitely investigate that when we get to the basement section. So let's continue on. So as we are continuing to inspect the drain line system, we're looking at each of the connections and we're not seeing any leaks. This is going to be going up to, I believe, the bathroom section. And then we see have another break off, which this is, I know, going to be the kitchen section. So we're going to be looking at the joints over here. This is coming down. And then we've already looking at the connection for the laundry system. And then again, we have another clean out. So we have multiple clean outs through this plumbing system. And we have a nice slope that's going through to remove the waste line. So when we look at our checklist, we're going to want to identify the multiple fixtures. How are they running? Is it acceptable? We want to identify where the clean outs are. And we want to tell our clients where those clean outs are specifically. We want to identify that, yes, there was a house trap. And then last but not least, we want to identify the material used for the drain line system. It could be cast iron, it could be clay, and here we have plastic. And then for your reporting, you're going to want to take some general images of the drain line system for multiple purposes. One, to show that there were no leaks. And two, we want to identify where the cleanouts are for your client. And that's how we perform a drain line inspection.
In this module, you will learn the standards of practice to inspect the plumbing system, the fundamentals of the plumbing system, different water supplies, distribution piping, and performing a plumbing system inspection. The home inspector will observe all components of the plumbing system which are visible and describe that system. The home inspector will, in writing, report any issues or defect found during the inspection and be available to discuss these concerns with the client in a manner to which the client understands. As a home inspector, it is imperative to understand the type of system and the overall operation when inspecting your client's potential house. Home inspectors shall observe and report on the following visibly and readily accessible components, systems, and conditions: interior water supply and distribution systems, including fixtures and faucets, drain, waste, and vent systems, water heating equipment and vent and pipes, fuel storage and fuel distribution systems and components, drainage sumps, sump pumps, ejector pumps, and related piping, and any active leaks. In inspecting plumbing systems and components, home inspectors shall operate all readily accessible fixtures and faucets, domestic hot water systems, drain pumps and waste ejector pumps, the water supply at random locations for functional flow, waste lines from random sinks, tubs, and showers for functional drainage. Home inspectors are not required to operate any main, branch, or fixture valve except faucets, or to determine water temperature. Observe and report on any system that is shut down or secured. Observe and report on any plumbing component that is not readily accessible. Observe and report on any exterior plumbing component or system or any underground drainage system. Observe and report on fire sprinkler systems. Evaluate the portability of any water supply. Observe and report on water conditioning equipment, including softener and filter systems. Operate freestanding or built-in appliances. Operate and report on private water supply systems. Test shower pans, tub and shower surrounds, or enclosures for leakage. Observe and report on gas supply system for materials, installation, or leakage. Evaluate the condition and operation of water wells and related pressure tanks and pumps. The quality or quantity of water from on-site water supplies, or the condition and operation of on-site sewage disposal systems, such as cesspools, septic tanks, drain fields, related underground piping, conduit, cisterns, and equipment. Observe, operate, and report on fixtures and faucets if the flow end of the faucet is connected to an appliance. Record the location of any visible fuel tank on the inspected property that is not within or directly adjacent to the structure. Observe and report on any spas, saunas, hot tubs, or jetted tubs. Observe and report on any solar water heating systems. Home inspections shall describe the water supply, drain, waste, and vent piping materials, the water heating equipment, including capacity, and the energy source and the location of the main water and main fuel shutoff valves. In preparing a report, home inspectors shall state whether the water supply and waste disposal systems are a public, private, or unknown. The plumbing system is a major system that is integrated throughout the entire house, which is concealed behind the walls. As a home inspector, the portion of the plumbing system that is inspected will be visible. The components consist of the water supply, the distribution of piping through the house, and the drainage of wastewater. There are two sources for water to be supplied to a house: the local water supply or a private well. The pipe that delivers the water to the house from the city comes from a main water line. The main line runs down the street the house is located on. Each home would have a supply line coming from the main and going to the house. A curb stop or shutoff valve is located between the main line and the house. This gives the city a control point so that the house can be shut off the system. Depending on local practices, the residents may have a water meter, or they may pay for their water supply by way of their local municipal taxes. The piping distribution system in a house consists of piping that delivers hot and cold water throughout the entire house. Since the house service main delivers only cold water, piping is then branched off from the main shutoff valve to a water heater system to generate hot water for the house. From this point, hot and cold piping is distributed throughout various rooms and components in the house, like the kitchen, bathrooms, laundry, and heating systems. These supply lines are always under pressure. If they are opened or a break occurs, water will shoot out and not stop until it is shut off in some way. That is why modern homes have a stop or shut-off valve for every fixture and appliance. If a home is not equipped with them, advise the buyer to install them. They'll make maintenance and repairs more convenient and will more than pay for themselves should a serious break occur. These are a few types of the material used to distribute water throughout the house. Copper, galvanized, PEX. The drainage system consists of three components: pipes, vents, and traps. The purpose of the drainage system is to carry discharge water from all of the plumbing appliances to a waste system, the septic or sewer systems, and these systems will be discussed in the lesson on drainage. One main difference between the drainage and distribution piping, the supply lines, is the drainage line is not under pressure. Therefore, the system is considered a gravity feed system, with water flowing due to gravity. For this to occur, the system must be open to the atmosphere. Hence, all discharge piping is connected to the vent stack, which penetrates through the roof of the house. These drainage pipes should be slanted down at 1/4 inch per foot. If the slant is greater than 1/4 inch per foot, then the solids, waste, may be left along the discharge pipe. A plumbing inspection is the process of looking for leaks. Leaks cannot be found unless you run water during the entire inspection. Running water for an extended period of time allows the system lines and the drainage system to be evaluated. As a home inspector, operating the supply lines and drainage system is important. Watching and listening to the drain pipe and whether it drains without gurgling will tell you if it is venting properly and that the pipes are large enough. Running large quantities of water into the drain system will tell you if there is a clog in the sewer line to the city main. If it is a private septic tank, then running large quantities of water will indicate whether the septic tank is functioning properly. It would be helpful if after running the water into a septic tank, you walked outside and walked around the septic tank and the leach field. If the system isn't working right, you will smell septic odors, or you may see pooling water. Take a few minutes to review the next 2 slides. This is the checklist for a plumbing inspection.
chapter was about the plumbing system. All I can say about the plumbing system is it's absolutely the easiest system to inspect, or section of the house to inspect. The moment I walk into the house, I go to the kitchen, I turn on the kitchen sink. I go to the bathroom, I turn on a bathtub. When I'm in the bathroom inspecting, I turn on the sink. The one thing that separates me from most inspectors I know is I run water for the whole hour and a half that I'm inside the house. People say to me, "What are you doing? This isn't on a well. You don't need to do a well flow test." What I'm doing is I'm checking the drain system. If I don't run water, I don't know if my drain line's going on. Many a time, I turn the water on at the beginning of the inspection, and 20 minutes later, all of a sudden, the bathtub starts filling up with water. All of a sudden, I start developing leaks in the basement because those pipes are soaked. So the plumbing system is an easy inspection. Turn on your water and let it run for as long as you can get away with. If there is a leak in that system, you're going to find it. And the other side of that is everybody in the inspection, attending the inspection, your client, and the realtors all know that you're running water. They're coming to you all the time and say, "You're the only home inspector I've ever seen running water all the time. Why are you doing that?" You say, "I'm inspecting the drainage system." What you're also doing is cementing in their mind that you inspect the plumbing system. So 2 months later, 3 months later, they have a plumbing problem in the house, and all you have to do is remind them, "Listen, I ran water for the full hour and a half I was in the house. That problem wasn't there on the day I inspected." Nobody argues that because they all remember the hour and a half they had to sit there listening to the kitchen sink run. Thank you.